Rabbi, I was explaining to David that you taught us that Avram Avinu was on a higher level than most of us. He was higher than the angels.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, nice. The Rebbe had a style that every Yom Tov, the day after Yom Tov, Yisro Chag, there should be a Kinus Torah. Spoke about it many times. The Rebbe's idea was that Kedusha of the 3 Yom Tovim, there's only one way to bring it in to the rest of the year. One way and one way only, and that's through Limud Torah. The Frat Shavuous. You see, Taka Minig Yisrael. What's Minig Yisrael? When a child has bar mitzvah, what's the first thing he does is to say a pshetel. Now, there's a pshetel, why a kid says a pshetel. But the best thing you could think of is that's Minig Yisrael, that a child, what's a pshat? You became bar mitzvah. You say a pilpul, a iyun, something going into, not just telling over a shtikl avort, a mefoidish, but you're being mispalpil, and you're being mechadish in Torah. Plain and simple. The Rebbe used all the beautiful, but a lot of the beautiful that we have, biyurim, the Rebbe never gave a shiur kloli or anything like that. So it was just that the Rebbe always wanted to give a hishtatfus because it was so precious to him that there was a kinus Torah. So he always gave his hishtatfus to the kinus Torah.
Participated?
Mm-hmm. That he'll say a shtikl Torah, that he repeat, and they can argue about it. That was his part of the kinus Torah. My brother told me once his father-in-law told him he was talking with a brother-in-law. So it's a day before his chasana. I'm maybe making a mistake about a detail in the story. I'll ask him tomorrow. And the Rebbe had walked out to his car, and there was a day it was Yisro Chag. So the Rebbe asked his uncle, my uncle through marriage, he said, "There's a kinus Torah inside." He said, "My chasna is tomorrow." So the Rebbe said, "So what?" So he was, you can't learn Torah the day before your chasna. Bottom line, to the Rebbe was a very, very choshev thing, and that's where we have a lot of the pilpulim. Like I said, the Rebbe never said a shiur kloli. So the Rebbe wanted to say a chiddush. That was the Rebbe's idea. That on the day after Yom Tov, a yid has to learn Torah in a way to be mechadash a chiddush. And that was the only time where the Rebbe was actually tried to say a chiddush, because that was by the Rebbe the unbelievable thing. So here is a beautiful kasha that the Rebbe asked, an original kasha. And then this is a lot of Mefarshim talk about little details of this kasha, but not the actual kasha, like a funny kasha. And then the Rebbe spoke about it, and it's a very gishmak pilpul. Basically, the Gemara says that Shabbos is when Yidden got the Torah. Chazal tell us that that day the Jews went through a conversion. The Rambam Shulchan Aruch Paskin, based the Gemara on Yevomas Daf Memvov, there's a whole sugya, but we Paskin Lapoil that you're not allowed to do a conversion of Shabbos. How are they allowed to do the conversion of Klal Yisrael on Shabbos? So it sounds like a funny kasha, but when you get into it, you see it's not that funny. I mean, it's taka. You say, it was only a Sidrabona, and there was this. You could say God makes the rules himself, so he could mix them up a little bit sometimes.
Well,
exception for the rule.
How 600,000 people can make conversion? That's my question.
Well, we'll talk about it soon, how it went. But the ikad is that the Rebbe said, no, it's a kasha. It's a kasha. And they have a beautiful lomdish chidush. Mamash Reb Chaim dik chidush, beautiful chidush. It's like a touch of lomdus, but also, and that was the way the Rebbe answered the kasha. So, in the meantime, we'll take a little bit of a journey. I cut and paste here a few ikadic pieces because it's good to read the psukim. Sometimes it gives light into your eyes.
The same pieces as this here?
It depends what you know. We pass like the Talmud Bavli. The Bechul Alma b'Shabbos Nitna Torah L'Yisrael. Vav Siman that year Vav Siman. So really, it's a Friday. This year Vav Siman is Friday. Well, the poil still Beruchni is there's this.
The time was the same yes, no?
No, so there's a Molei Nachos. There's something missing over here. There's
more than
right.
49 days.
So
Right.
When is
So
that achievement?
You got to push off today.
Right. So because no, but why is it by us? We had now. So they had both Chesedim or something. They had a day missing. That's why they had a day. They must have had a day missing. We have Molech Choser. We have Nissen Molech Iyar Choser. So they had Choser. And then that's how they landed with, even though you're right, it's Isma time. It's a question. Probably that's what it was. It was a Choser.
Dalet Sivan is one. There's Aleph.
Today is Aleph, yeah. Today is beautiful. Today is Aleph. It's Rosh Chodesh. And this is, okay. The two places where the Torah talks about is in Parshas Yisrei and Mishpatim. There's a lot in Parshas Mishpatim, and the Psukim are drought perplexing, but there's a lot in the end of Parshas Mishpatim that talk all about Matan Torah. So let's read. It's really geschmack to get a picture of what went on the Matan Torah. Every year we try to do a different aspect, but this year it's a beautiful angle of looking at what happened on that day. I know last year or the year before we did a little bit how could 600,000 people go to the mikveh one morning, how it went. We covered different aspects of. They must have had mikvahs, yeah. Be'er Miriam filled up, so you have to just make a hole in the ground the day or two before. They were from Rosh Chodesh Yisrael Moshe l'sa'asak b'moam binyan Kabbalas HaTorah. From today, every day they were busy getting ready for Kabbalas HaTorah. So, yeah, okay. Parshas Mishpat. Let's read a little bit. Yeah, the Erev Rav also, Magaya, yeah. The Erev Rav, yeah. Even though they were troublemakers, but they were Amsas. They're big troublemakers, but still, they went through the gates. Okay, let's read. It's really, really geschmack. There's no better way to get into the mood this year of Shavuos, to look at the Pesukim and to look at the whole. Amen. So let's go through Parshas Mishpat. Perek Chavdalad, Pasuk Aleph to Zayin. Evel Moshe Amar Alei El Hashem Atav Ana Nodav Avihu B'Shivim Miziknei Yisrael V'Shtachavisim Meirach. The Eibusha said they should go close to the mountain. V'nigash Moshe Levad El Hashem V'hem Lo Yugosh V'hem Lo Yalu Imoi. V'yov Moshe V'Sapar Lam Eis Kol Divrei Hashem V'Skol Mishpatim V'yan Kol Am V'Loich V'hem Kol Advarim Asher Tziv Hashem Nasa. V'yichtem Moshe Es Kol Divrei Hashem V'yashkem B'Boike V'yivim Mizbeach Tachat Sahor. So obviously, something happened over here because it says Vayashkem b'boiker. So one day something happened, the next day something else happened. At the morning of some day, there was some day that Moshe got up early, super early in the morning, and he built a mizbeach, and he made 12 stones, 12 matzevas for the 12 shvat. And he brought a whole bunch of korbanos on that mizbeach. Vayikach Moshe chatzi adam, vayosam ba'agonois, v'chatzi adam zorak al mizbeach. Okay. He spritzed the blood on the mizbeach. Vayikach sefer abris, and he took the sefer. Vayikra b'oznei and he read it. There's many opinions of Chazal. What did he read? He read for them the Sefer Abris. Rashi says that he read from them from Bereshis Bar Lakim until Veidaber Lakim is called Dvarim Ma'ela, because as you'll see in a moment, Rashi holds that this happened before Matan Torah, but we'll talk about it in a minute. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. He read something for the people. Vayem Rakol Asher Dibra Hashem Nasa V'Nishim. That's when they announced Nasa V'Nishim. He went and he sprayed the blood on the people. This is the blood that with this blood that he sprayed on the Klal Yisrael, you went into the covenant. We'll just stop at this. Come on, it says in Kedisus, Rebbe Yomer Kachem Kavisechem. Ma Visechem Lenichnusu Labris Ela B'Mila Tvila Vatzos Dam Af Heim Leyichnusu Labris Ela B'Mila Tvila Vatzos Dam. Gemara says that we learn from the pasuk that just like the Jews, when they accepted the covenant at Mount Sinai, there was three things that made them Jews. They went into the covenant b'mila, b'tvila, b'atzos dam, atzos korban. That they did a there was a korban, and also for all generations in the future, that when if a convert wants to come into the Jewish nation, he has to have a milah, he has to go to the mikveh, and he has to bring a korban. There's a whole discussion about today. How do you have is it like we press the hold button
On the carbon.
and the korban, maybe all the first order business from Mashiach come, all the gatim are going to line up and bring karbanos or not. Okay. Omar ma. So the Gemara continues. We learned in the Braisa. Ma v'seichel nichnas ol bris elo. So the Gemara wants to understand, when did they have the milah? Bishlem milah diksiv kimulim hoyu kolama yoitzim emitzrayim inam emahochav everlach veres mechbiz beseses b'demayich v'hamalach b'demayich. It's already 49 days before, because Moshe Rabbeinu told them, the whole plan was the plan is we're going out of Egypt to get the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted that they should do the milah before they even eat the korban Pesach, and the Chazal say because they needed a special schus. So this they already did. That was covered. Check. The milah was already taken care of 49 days ago. Okay. Now the next thing, Artzos Domim, the Ksiva Yishlach Esnare Bnei Yisrael, that he sent the younger Bnei Yisrael to bring korbanos, and they brought the korbanos on the mizbeach. He built a special mizbeach, and on that mizbeach they're going to bring a korban. In order to that korban was not just a regular korban. That korban was the korban that a person brings in order to go into conversion. How do we know that they went to the mikveh? The Ksiva Yikach Moshe Chatz Adam V'Yizrik La'am, that he sprayed blood on the people. And Chazal say, we know, there's no such a thing, hazor, that doesn't exist. We know a rule, there's no such a thing, hazor without tefillah. Doesn't exist. There's no such a thing. Hazor is always the last click. Whatever the hazor is, that's the mechusore, whatever, the korban, I'm sorry, they can't go to the base of Mikdash. Sorry, Tada. That you always need that this is the last thing, but they always have to go to the mikveh. Okay. So we learned it from these psukim that we just read, that these are the three things. So the milah is not mentioned. These psukim is already done, but there are three things that they needed to do in order to become Jewish.
So the milah done when they got us from Egypt?
Before they got the day before. Yeah. Before the korban. Yeah, day before.
Day before Hashem put the blood.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But how they can travel?
How can they travel? They travel very slowly. They attack it. They were attackers. They travel very slowly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's read the next piece.
The person today, they walked out right away afterwards.
Yeah, people that are strong. Yeah, they do it. The Rambam says in Isur Bia, in the beginning of Perikut Gimel, three things made the Jews go into the covenant. The third piece. B'milah, tefillah, v'korban. They needed three things. They needed these three things, and they would be Jewish. Milah oisa b'mitzrayim shenemes kol ora lo yoshel bay. Ma oisa Moshe Rabbeinu shekulam bitlu bris milah b'mitzrayim chutz m'shevet Levi v'zanema u'bris yintzor. The Jews didn't, even though David told Avraham Avinu to keep the bris, but unfortunately the Jews stopped keeping the mitzvah. But before they went out of Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu told them, Kol ora lo yochel bo, and he made sure that they all did the mitzvah of Milah. Okay. Tefillah oisa b'midbar koydem matan Torah. Right before they got the Torah, everyone went to the mikveh. 600,000 men, and presumably the women, everyone went to the mikveh before they got the Torah. Shenamar v'kidashtem hayoim u'mochor v'chibsu s'moisa. As we know again from Chazal, whenever it says chibsu s'moisam, it doesn't mean to go to the cleaners. It means that you're going to the mikveh. Okay. So the korban shenemar v'yishlach esnare b'nei Yisrael v'yalo oilos al yidei kol Yisrael ikrivum. These korbanos were not individual from Nare b'nei Yisrael. This was in b'shem kol Yisrael.
And I have a question. In that time, we take up our clothes and go into the mikveh. When they went into the mikveh, okay, so they took up their clothes and they went into the mikveh. They didn't also tovel the clothing in there.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Doesn't mean the table of clothing.
Probably not.
All right.
I don't know. It's got to be tuma v'tara. There is, but over here,
Okay.
I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's interesting. The Rambam brings a different pasuk than the Gemara even, because the Gemara brings from a limud ein azor b'lo tvila. The Rambam a lot of times tries to a simpler limud. I don't know. To look in for Rambam. But okay, so these are the three things. V'chein l'doris k'sheyirtze ha'akom likonas labris or listoifef tachas kamfei hashchina. B'kabel of oil Torah. Then it says you don't need to look in the Rambam. Look in the Meforshim and the Chumash. Well, what do they say on the Chibsos of Loisam? Vayidekol Yisrael Likim. I'm sorry. V'chein l'doris k'sheyirtze ha'akom likonas labris or listoifef tachas kamfei hashchina. B'kabel of oil Torah tzorech mila tvila v'atzos korban. When a person is going to want to become Jewish, he has to do the same three things. Mila, tvila, atzos, korban. Vim nekeva, tvila, the korban, shenema kachem kageir. Pasuk says kachem kageir. Just like you did, the geir has to do. When you went into the covenant, you did these three things. The geir does the same. Matam, mila, tvila, atzos, korban. Afa geir ladoris, mila, tvila, atzos, korban. The Mechilta says. I'm just bringing the Mechilta and the Medrash Lakach Toiv, even though there's like 300 Medrashim on this, but these are the main Medrashim that are focused on it. Vayikich Moshe Sadam v'Yizrek al-Am Amar lahem ha're'et k'shurim anuvim tfusim mocher boi v'kibul asa aleichem ha'mitzvahs kulam. That he did all the mitzvahs and he said, "Oh, you guys are tied to Hashem. Go to sleep. Tomorrow we're gonna get the Torah. You're gonna get the mitzvahs." No, boy bayom nasa kol amais. That it was all boy bayom. It was all on that day. So within this shit of Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, there's a ton of rishonim, a big machloikis. Basically, when did they do the mila tvila natzoas korban, and many of the other things that the Parsha says it did, which the Gemara really boils it down to three things that they did. The mila they already did, which is the tvila natzoas korban. When did they do all this stuff? They did other stuff. They were screaming Nasim and Ishma. He read for them the Sefer. But all these things that the Torah is talking about in the Barat Mishpatim. When did they do this stuff? When did they do this? So there's three opinions. First opinion, he said that everything they did was the day before. They went to sleep. Next day, woke up in the morning, and they got the Aseres Adibris. Okay. Rabbi Yosef Yehuda said no. Boy bayam nasa kol. Within Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, there's two opinions. The Ramban says that this happened on day 7 of Sivan. So the Tanna Kama says everything happened, all the prep work happened on day 5. Day 6 they got the Torah. The Ramban says the other way around. Boy bayam nasa amasa means on day 7 of Sivan everything happened. And he says if you read it that way, he got on 6. And he says, and the ones afterwards the mikveh. So he says it's a little appella because wouldn't you have to go to? But the Ramban has a long arichas, and he says if you read the psukim, this would make the whole parshas Yisra Mishpatim flow. He said, yeah, you could say Ein Mukta Mucha B'Torah. If you could read straight, nothing like reading a story straight instead of reading it backwards. So he says, parshas Yisra Mishpatim from the beginning of Yisra to the end of Mishpatim, you don't have to bang your head in the wall and start saying Ein Mukta Mucha. I'll read it to you, pasuk after pasuk. Listen to me, and everything is good. The Yidden came to Har Sinai. They got Aseres Adibris. After Aseres Adibris, the Eibishter gave them through Moshe Rabbeinu a whole bunch of basic rules. You think you should know those are the rules that's they learned on day 6. All Mashas Mishpatim, that was the main stuff they learned that day. They were exhausted by the end of the day. Never mind the blintzes. They were exhausted. They learned and a little bit of Sanhedrin, Noidias. They went to sleep. Next day, they got up, and that's when you get to the end of Parshas Mishpatim. And that's when they did the Mila, and the Mila, the Tefillah, the Korban, all the good Zachen at the end of Parshas Mishpatim happened on day 7. It doesn't make sense. Why? That's the way the Ramban learns it. 1 second. And then there's the middle Shitta. And the middle Shitta is many Rishonim, and there's a Medrash that ever brings Sheikh Lekach Toiv, which says exactly that. No, Boy Bayom means on that day. And within that also is a machlokes. But again, the best way of learning it, the way the Rambam Pirish Mishnah said, Avram ben Rambam learns, that they got up super early in the morning before Aloisa Shachar. It's similar to what we do. They went to the mikveh before Neitzach Hama. They all ran to the mikveh, like we do. They ran to the mikveh, like we do. We do it like because, that's the way they did it. But they went early, and then Moshe Rabbeinu watching gegangen free in the mikveh. Gegangen in the mikveh, and he was, while they were all toiling in the mikveh, he was busy building the mizbeach. And by the time they got out of mikveh, the young guys were already standing next to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they brought the korban, and everything happened, and he did hatzos adamim. By the time it was Neitzachama, Mishengaven great, and they were ready for Kabbalah Satorah. So Boy Bayoy means, so we have here three shittas. What happened? Everything happened on day 5. Everything happened on day 6, and within that itself, did it happen before, after Matan Torah? Most opinions hold that it happened before Matan Torah, or you have a shitta that it happened on day 7. Now, from Pashtus Aksuvim, it makes the most sense the middle way, just the way the psukim sound. The only mile on the Ramban's way is that because the psukim go from Yisr Mishpatim very straight. But otherwise, if you think about what do you think happened, it sounds very nice to say the middle shitta. You want to say something?
We were talking about Har Sinai.
Yes, Har Sinai. What happened when they got the Torah? They went to the mikveh. Did they go to the mikveh on day 5, or day 6, or day 7? When did all these nice activities happen? Let's read it. The Medrash Lekech Toiv. Al Moshe Amar Alei. Zoi Ma'isa Koydem Aseres Adibris. Shenem Aviyem Hashem Al Moshe Leichered V'Lisa Atav Aran Imach. The Kidashta Mayom Amach. So right away the Lekech Toiv tells you that he holds like Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, but he also tells it to you that it happened Koydem Aseres Adibris. And then he says it by Richus. Yom Chamishi V'Yom Shishi V'Yom Shvi Hamakudesh Shabbos Kibla Aseres Adibris. Shu Yom Shlishi La'Afrosh. There were 3 days that they were mufresh from their wife. It was day 5, day 6, day 7. On day 7, which is Shabbos Kodesh, the Medrash Lekech Toiv agrees also to the Gemara that L'Kul Alma b'Shabbos Nitna Torah L'Yisrael. V'Hish K'Moshe B'Boker U'Bon Mizbeach. He got up extra early and he made the Mizbeach. V'Lokach Adam V'Sam B'Agonat V'Yizal Yisrael Shali Lo Kibli Yisrael L'Satayra Ela Yedei Tefila V'Azoya V'Visho Inyan Hazeh Kotsa Pashas Eila Mishpatim. Ve'in Oimrim B'Torah Masha Hukdem Mukdem U'Masha Hecher Meyucher. No. El Afal Pi Shamucher. It doesn't matter. Ha'Mevin Yochel Lohavin in Yoni. Ki Kulam Neichachim L'Mevin V'Hat Oznechel L'Shmoya. Shepashat Eila Mishpatim V'Chol Sefer Abris Kotsav L'Moshe Rabbeinu Koydem Aseres Adibris. Shenam V'Yikach Sefer Abris V'Yikra B'Oznei Om V'Yomer Kol Asher Dibra Hashem Nasa. What do you think? It happened the day after? It doesn't make sense. Obviously, it happened before. You can use your own head, you can use your own eyes, your own ears, and you understand it. Says the Medrash. It was all boy bayoim. Very clear. The Lekech Toiv it couldn't be clearer. The Lekech Toiv holds the middle shitta. And within the middle shitta, the again, there's many Rishonim that hold this way. There's a Hudram, there's a Rambam, Avraham.
They didn't oversleep according to the
No, they slept up a bit. Oh, you're saying this whole thing that them geschlafen spät.
They never overslept.
They never overslept according to this. Yeah. According to this, they didn't oversleep. They were these guys were up super duper early. They were noch in mikveh. Right. And it sounds from Pashtus Aksuvim that the Matan Torah was in the morning, and it says here. It says before she says that it happened b'Hashkama. It says V'Hishke Moshe B'Boker. It was b'Hashkama. Everything happened b'Hashkama. Wow. These guys didn't. We think that these guys would get puffed. So according to this, they didn't. The Bechlal didn't sleep very late. So it has to be the Medrash that they slept late holds the other two shittas. They did everything on day 5, or they did everything on day 7, or they did the things after Matan Torah. But according to this Mahalach, they got up super early. So why are we up all night? The same thing. They were up all night.
So, Abba, I thought we learned that we learn new Torah every day. So wouldn't that mean we need to get up super early every day?
Yeah. But that day they got up super duper early.
Okay.
Amish.
Like, for example, should I try to do Vasikin every day?
I don't think it's a good idea for you every day.
Okay.
But, it's sometimes a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but Rosa was my shield.
Hey, you got it. Yeah. Okay. So again, let's summarize. So we have here the Yidden went into Gerus, and they did three things. Mila Tefillah Vatzos Korban. They did another few bunch of things, and we have three opinions when they did all these nice things. That's Archona Tamat and Torah. Mila Tefillah Vatzos Korban. B'chulu B'chulu Nasa V'Nishma. Did they do it in day and day 5, day 6, day 7, and we have the middle shit that they did it actually before Kabbalah Torah, because that's what they needed to do. Okay. So what's the Shaila? Reflected about Posh the Shaila. The last line here. The Rambam Paskin Shulchan Aruch says, "Hoil v'tfilas geret tzarich bezdin shel shloisha emat bilan oisa b'Shabbos v'loy b'yomta v'loy b'layla." But because you need a bezdin, so you're not supposed to do it. The Gemara says a different reason. The Gemara says tikuna gavra loy metaknina, that you're making the person a person. You're making a goy ayid. So you're not allowed to do it in Shabbos. The Tosfos asks, what do you mean? The Gemara says that if a person is toivel from Tuma to Tada, it's not a problem because it's neither can make it. It looks like he's a little hot, so he's cooling down. It doesn't. So the Taz says that's why the Rambam brings the reason that you need a bezdin. The person can't say, I'm a little overhot. So why 3 men standing and looking how you're toiveling? So really, the two connect, the time that the Gemara gives and the time that the Rambam Shulchan Aruch gives are really a little bit connected. Upon him, be it as it may, in Pshat, there's 2 reasons why we shouldn't have a Gerus and Shabbos. Either it's Tikuni Gavre or it's a Bezdin. You're not allowed to do Din Toiris and Shabbos. Okay, bottom line is, according to this opinion, which is a very popular opinion, that the Yidden did the Tefillah and the Yidden did the Korban on Shabbos. How is it the Mutter to do in Shabbos, the Chosa to do in Shabbos? Huh? So first, some of Farshim say that this Korban was Erlas Tomit. So first of all, it's not Mashma was Erlas Tomit. It was Mashma, there was a special oil for the Gators. And the base of Mikdash, you weren't allowed to bring a korban of a Gator on Shabbos, because you could do it on Thursday. Only there's something you can't do. And Bechlal, and the building the Mizbeach, and Tova, that doesn't answer all the kashas. A second, the Rebbe says is that we know that the Mechilta holds, not like the Gemara, Mechilta holds that Beshishi b'Shabbos nitna Torah, V'kulam Beshishi b'Shabbos. Okay, that's very nice. The Mechilta holds that way, but the Medrash Lekech Tov doesn't hold that way. The Medrash Lekech Tov says Yom Chamishi, Yom Shishi, Yom Shvi, Yom Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh, Kibla Seres Adibris, and then
the whole Shabbos was given by the Kabbalah Torah. What happened afterwards?
No, they already had the Morad and Mitzvah al Shabbos. Yeah, they already Mitzvah al Morad. But anyway, the Rebbe wanted to answer that maybe the Mechilta holds that everything happened on Friday, but it's not true. The Medrash Lekech Tov says that ever happened on Shabbos, so you have to answer for the Medrash too, and that's the pshat. Really, the Gemara passes that way. Shulchan Aruch brings that, and Rambam brings it. The Zohar makes a big deal out of it that Torah was given on Shabbos, that Talmud Chochem is Ikri Shabbos. That's why the Torah was given on Shabbos, because Torah is the union of Chochem and Chochem Shabbos. So we always go with this mahalach that b'Shabbos nitna Torah.
Nobody's allowed to suspend a mitzvah temporarily.
Right, you could say that the Eibishter says to suspend the mitzvah, but you have to give it. So it's a kasha and a teretz. You have to give a kasha and say that the Eibishter gave it tzivui. It should be dafkan that day. Okay, another teretz you could give that these are all isura derabanan. That tikun gavre bezna Shabbos all isura derabanan, and even that's a little schwer, because why would you building Mizbeach is not a derabanan, and there's idea of it's not so. Why would you not allow to make a meal on Shabbos? One of the Meforshim says because it's makabeh patish, because nasa yelod Yisrael shalom. So hey, so what's so that's one. No, another teretz you could give that.
The meal wasn't on Shabbos.
The idea that Meforshim said, why would, if the Torah didn't tell you that that you should make the meal on Shabbos, why would you think you're not allowed to? Because you're makabeh patish, you're making it someone a yid. So you see that. Okay, a fourth teretz that the Rebbe says maybe you could say is they got the mitzvah of keeping Shabbos and Mora, which is a few weeks earlier. Which mitzvahs were they told in Mora they're not allowed to do on Shabbos? There's nothing to say that when they got the mitzvah Mora and Shabbos that they got all the mitzvahs that we have. Could be that they was al yetzishrim koimoy esa shabash levashelo v'shatoifu ta'oifu. Could be the original mitzvah they got on Shabbos when they got the mitzvah Mora were very limited to 2-3 little mitzvahs. Later, when they got the Aseres HaDibros, they were told all the Lamites Malachas. So you could say that before they got the Aseres HaDibros, all the things they did, like building the Mizbech and everything, was mutter. Still, it's a little bit. The Rebbe brings there's a discussion in Meforshim that we say that you could be doicha tuma, but if you have to be mechanach, for example, a kohen has to be neschanach to avoid or whatever. There is a chinuch. You can't do it through the chiyas tuma. It has to be but the hara gemura. It's a little funny that the Jews became the first time. It's like when the kid. The Rebbe at the end, the last few days of school, the Rebbe sometimes breaks a couple of rules. Right. But a little funny that the first day, and they're already breaking half the rules. It's a little bit of a funny thing. Here we're getting the Torah, and the whole thing is that we're accepting Kabbalah Sel Malchus Shamayim. And all of a sudden we're finding a kula, and this is another thing, and we're breaking the rules. It's the first day that we're accepting it. It's a little funny. The Rebbe says it would be much better to find the pshat that really that doesn't use a doich. Here's the Rebbe's pshat. Here's the lumdus, and they're very short. We say the Chazal say there's 3 things that make a person become a Jew: mila, tvila, hartzoas korban. But what happens if the guy says, "I'm not accepting the mitzvahs"? There's a couple of the mitzvahs I'm accepting. The din is if he's accepting everything besides one mitzvah, the gatus is not a gate. That's the whole discussion we have today about Giur Kahalocha. The problem is that they say, if you want to give us social security, you want to give us passports to go to Israel, we want to get out of Ukraine, we can't keep Kratzmach. No. they still, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to, everything, even one rule. If a guy says, yeah, but that one rule, no, you can't. You have to accept every one of the 630 mitzvahs. So why does it the Chazal say that the B'shloishet Dvarim Nichnas Yisrael Labris? There's what's with Kabbalah's El Torah? The answer obviously is that the Rebbe, that's not. There is the Tanai, how you go into Gatus, and there's the Etzem Gatus. There's going into the Bris. If the guy is not accepting, he's accepting 612 mitzvahs. He's not. This is going into the bris means he's going into a bris with a Kadosh Baruch Hu to do the 630 mitzvahs. If he's not accepting that, that is what Gatus is. The 3 things, the 3 conditions. In order to go into the bris, you need A, B, and C. Mila, Tvila, Vartzos, Karban. That's what you need. Now, how does it happen today in a bezdin? You start teaching him miktzas, kalas, miktzas, chamudas, medina, oinshin shul mitzvahs, matan schoran. You learn with the guy at least for a year, and even if he doesn't know all the 613 mitzvahs, but they're ready, that they already know something, and then you accept them, and then you do mila, tvila, and there's the Beis Hamikdash, hartzoas korban. Now, you don't have to do every single mitzvah, but you have to do mitzvahs. I don't have that much experience with Gatus. I mean, it's not necessary, especially now that I'm here. But B'shita, I won't, there's what they didn't make it, take care of it. But in the Bronx, it was, so what's if a person wants to be Megayah? So So I'm learning with the man, and the woman's learning with my wife. So, but after learn, and the main things you have to learn. You have to learn the Hilchus Taras Mishpoch. So after a few sessions, my wife comes. It's a Corp City. Every building is 33 floors with 12 apartments on each floor. But there's common space. There's a playground. So my wife walks into the playground, and all the Schwarzes are talking about Taras Mishpoch Malach. So they're all talking about that. This shiksa told the other shiksas. So my wife told me that this woman, forget it. It's not a candidate for Gators. This is the Kachava. This is not. So that's you shake out the real from the fake, because you learn with them some of them, and you have to media onchen shel mitzvahs, and then you shake out who's a real Gator, who's not. Afterwards, you do mila tvila tzos korban. By Matan Torah, however, it was the other way around. Emes take that Chazal say Nasa v'nishma, it's mashma from Toyses, that was the Kabbalah of mitzvahs. It doesn't stand to, which mitzvahs were they? Before the Eibishter was Nizgala at Mount Sinai, which mitzvahs are they accepting? Mitzvahs kalchem, but which ones? You say today, the Bezdin didn't tell them all the mitzvahs, but they will tell them they started. He didn't start anything. The mitzvahs before Kabbalah Torah are different mitzvahs. Sheva mitzvahs, Noach, Shabbos, and Mora. They're different type of mitzvahs. It's hard to imagine that that's called mitzvahs kalas, and mitzvahs chamudas. Stands to reason until the Eibishter was Nizgala by Matan Torah, and the Eibishter Veidabel Kim Eskolat Venemalema Anocha Shemalakecho, and I said it's a dibris. There wasn't really Kabbalah mitzvahs. The Yidden said Nasa and Ishmat. Okay, that was a preliminary thing, but Lagabi the mitzvah of Gedus, Lagabi the mitzvah of Gedus, it stands to reason that only happened when the Eibishter was Nizgala by Matan Torah and spoke to the Yidden. Agavucha, the Rebbe says, if we say this way, the Enfit, the famous kasha, Tosfos asks, my modem talk about it, and all the Roshas and Shavuos, the Tosfos says, on the one hand, Yidden was screaming Nasa and Ishmat. So why did the Eibishter have to put the mountain over their head? I mean, so it's not only why, but like, didn't they already makabel? Like, they're makabel, they were not makabel. What's going on? It's a joke. So the Rebbe says, according to this, so you could say very poshut. You could ask them why, but what happened? There's two different things. When they said Nasa and Ishma, it was like a preliminary thing. They said that we're going to, whatever they call it, everything they should do Nasa and Ishma. It's very nice. But that wasn't the Gedus. The Gedus is when the Eibishter is coming to Har Sinai. That's when they makabel the mitzvahs, and that's when the Eibishter was kafalem hakigigas. Theoretically, if he asked them, would they have said Nasa and Ishma? Maybe yes. You could still ask why, but it's not a contradiction of the two stories. It's like the Rebbe. Now we can understand the answer to the kasha. What is it that, because today the goy already went into the bris, he accepted the 630 mitzvahs. Now makebe patish, we have mila, tvila, artzos korban, and there might not even be a seder. Really, you're supposed to have to do first mila and then tvila, artzos korban, but we did it, flipped it around, machmeshtois. So really, each one of these three things, especially if you say that if you flip them around, it's machmeshtois, this is tikkuni gavre. Now the guy is becoming from a goy, a yid. This is the makebe patish. And theoretically, each one of these three things doesn't have to be on order. So mamish, this thing you're doing right now is making him the Jew. And now you need a Bezdin. This is Maisa Bezdin. But when the Yidden got the Torah at Mount Sinai, so in the morning before Alois Hashach, when they were toivel in the mikveh, that was nothing. Hakadeh Mechuyev. You have to have Mila, Tvila, Atzoas Korban. But this was not the makebe patish. Because they didn't. This was only the main thing of Nichnas Ulabris is to accept the 630 mitzvahs, and that couldn't happen until later by Matan Torah. The Gemara says Kachem Kager Ma'atem Nichnasu B'Mila Tvila V'Atzos Karbim Afla Doris. The Gemara doesn't mean the order of things. The Gemara is just saying that just like then you need Mila Tvila V'Atzos Karbim. Also today, if a ger comes and wants to be a guy, you need to have Mila Tvila V'Atzos Karbim. But there was a huge difference in what happened. When the ger comes today, we teach him first a big chunk of the 613 mitzvahs. And we want to make sure that he was really accepted all 613. Then we go Makim Apatish. Mila, he heals, Tvila, Hartzah's Korban. So each one of these three things, when he goes into the mikveh, this is a Maisa Bezdin, this is Tikkun Gavre, we're doing real stuff right now. But in the days of Matan Torah, when they went in the morning in the mikveh, there was nothing. They began in the mikveh, but this didn't have a din of Tikkun Gavre. It was a totally different thing. So therefore, it was mutter for them to do Tvila, not so as Korban, and before Matan Torah, and Sanishkin Kasha. Huh? Right, it was a different thing. Taka they did because today the Mila Tvila comes after the Kabbalah mitzvahs. So each one is Tikkun Davra. Knak. It's Tikkun, it's Maisa Bezdin. But then it wasn't. With Taka, they needed to do it. They're Mechuyev to Toivel, they're Mechuyev to bring a korban, and that's what they did. V'yishlachnar b'nei Yisrael, they're Mechuyev, all these things. But Lepoil, that wasn't the Tikkun Gavra. When was the Tikkun Gavra? When the Eibishter was Nazgala Har Sinai, Kofalem Hakegigis, and he gave them the Aseres Dibris, and they Taka accepted it. So that's when that was Nichnas Labris. Okay, so therefore is Nishkin Kasha. That's Fa'em for the ganze Kasha. So again, what was the original? Yeah, if Bisman Hazeh also, but you can't do it. Bisman Hazeh, when a goy comes, you have to first teach him because that's the way it has to be. So therefore, Taka Bisman Hazeh, you can't be.
Bisman Hazeh, if you want to be on Shabbos, you don't do a bris.
Right, because theoretically, if you were allowed to do Bisman Hazeh, to do Mila, Tvila, and then we'll start teaching him.
No,
but you can't do that. You're mechuyev to first teach him. So now, as soon as you do Mila, Knak. Tvila, Knak, Hatzoskorim, Knak. These three Makim Bepatish, each one is Tikkun Gavre, it's a Maisa Bezdin. Shenkin by Matan Torah, when they went to the mikveh, it's a mitzvah to go to the mikveh, but this was not a Tikkun Gavre. This was not a Maisa Bezdin. There was a mitzvah to bring a korban, okay, but this was not a Tikkun Gavre. This was not a Maisa Bezdin.
Why did the Rebbe throw in there the whole thing with Kabbalah and Parakeet? What does it change?
No, he's saying that this a little bit. Stop that Tosfos asks, like, which one is true? They said Nasa v'Nishma and everything. No, because Nasa v'Nishma was not really the Kabbalah mitzvahs. Nasa v'Nishma was one thing which happened, and there was another thing that happened. Right, that wasn't really the Gabi the Gatus. That wasn't Kabbalah mitzvahs. That Kabbalah had no shaykhs to Gatus. So there were two different Kabbalahs. There was a general Kabbalah. And then there was the Kabbalah that had a din of Kabbalah Gabigatis. And that din Kabbalah that had a Kabbalah for Gabigatis, on that was Kafalem Hakigigas. The other one was nice, was peaceful. Nasa v'Nishma, the Yidden said, but that Nasa v'Nishma was not the Gatus part.
Right.
Why did they need all the girls if they were Jewish?
No, there was, that's interesting. They were not fully a Yid. Avram Avinu, there's a whole discussion, what was the din of the Ovis? They started to become a Yid. And it is right. So it's an interesting thing that they started going into the Gatus. They started going into the Gatus, but they didn't finish it until Matan Torah. There's a beautiful word, not in the Sicha, but the Rebbe mentioned that the din is that if you take a goyish child, the parents have become Gadim. So they take the child, the toivel, but the kid could be moiche by the bar mitzvah and say he doesn't want to be a Yid. So the question was, in the time of Matan Torah, there was a lot of children under bar and bas mitzvah, and they toiveled with, presumably, everyone toiveled, every man and woman, everyone toiveled. Every child, everyone toiveled, everyone went to the mikveh. So when they went to mitzvah, no, we spoke about it before, but Pashtus, there was a ton of water from Be'er Shalmerim. All you needed to do is dig a hole in the ground and let it fill up with water. But who needs a Hesa mikveh? Exactly.
So many people going in. So many people
going in and out. So the Rebbe says that when is the din that a child can be moicha if he was a goy and now the parents or the bezdin were toivlim and to make him a yid, he could be moicha by the bar mitzvah. But the Klal Yisrael by the Matan Torah was a little more complicated. Avram Avinu already started the Milah. And Avram already accepted. So it was already an acceptance that started from the days of Avram. So it was already, it's not like a regular Gatus, that the Gatus is given by Avram Avinu. Well, the din of a full-fledged Yid, that's on Matan Torah. I mean, that's why we read Megillas Rus, because the Yidden became Gadim, just like Rus is a Gad Tzedek. Yidden became Gerim B'Shas Matan Torah. It's an unbelievable thing. B'Shas Matan Torah, Mevet Anaya Mensch. The Arizal says, Ayom Meilon Niskonim V'Naseh. That through doing what we do every Yom Tov, we're going back to do it like the first time it happened again. So what's so special about this Yom Tov? We become a new person. Every Yid, every year, there's a certain ischatshus that happens. So it's an unbelievable thing to think about it. There's an unbelievable ischatshus that happens to us. We become a new person. Every year, B'Matan Torah, we become a new person. So the Eibus shall helfen Taka, the Eibus shall helfen that when we go into Shavuos, we go out, we should feel like totally new people. It's an anaya mensch. Chaim.
It's not the entire. Shavuos also means they took the cloth and put it in the cloud, and the cloud washed.
We were talking if we have to put it in the cleaners.
What's this?
What's Kutzah's problem?
Bringing a carbon.
Nowadays, what is it?
So nowadays, there's a question. Some opinions hold that it's suspended, and when Mashiach comes, the Ger has to bring the carbon to the Beis Hamikdash. Others say no, but some say yeah. That when Mashiach is going to come,
Others say no, forget about it.
forget about it. Because today there's no Beis Hamikdash, so forget about it. There's different rules. But the others say no, that we can't bring a carbon. But Mashiach will come, all the Gerim are going to line up, and they're all going to bring karbanos.
The last, I didn't understand the last one.
The last one was the get then Shangim when it was a gear and have a basement of the people. Anyone will not do Shabbos, you're not allowed to have his mikveh on Shabbos and Yom Tov. The Loibalai not by night, because Bezin is not allowed to operate by night. It's not allowed to operate on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Because it's considered a thing that needs a bed. You're not allowed to do it by night. Not allowed to do it on Shabbos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.